Good morning and welcome to Mo Knows featuring me, Monica Mo Justice. Okay, today I'm a little bit under the weather, but I felt a moral obligation um, to come out here this morning. And it's a moral obligation because I saw somebody hurt and I was trying to put the right words to it. So I'm looking tattered, but I don't care because I'm me and I'm going to do it my way. I believe I entitled this one by the name of the woman that was sentenced yesterday, the former police officer that was sentenced to 10 years. Good morning, Miss G. All right. Let me see where to begin. I'm going to begin with my friend, Lady Justice. And of course, this version of her is the most seductive version of her that I have. And actually, when I purchased these tarot cards, I purchased them because of Lady Justice sitting right there in the back of my black and white deck. And I wanted them. And I wanted her. You know what they say about a woman? You know the woman you want and you just go for it. You go for it. That's what happened with this deck of cards for me. Lady Justice on the box of the cards. Bianco Nero was the reason I purchased this deck. And I only use this deck when I deal with things of the matter of money or my professional growth. Good morning, Crystal. My professional growth. So I'm looking for her just to show you her. By the way, this is an amazing deck of cards just for this is my second favorite card inside the deck, and it's the card of strength, right? It's also, depending on how you read how you interpret your tarot cards, that's the lion. And as you know, my astrological sign is Leo, and if that doesn't exemplify strength to me, I don't know what else does. The lion standing there, king of the jungle, and the woman standing beside him, so strong and poised, head up. Something you seldom see on women. I don't understand why, but I do the same thing. But the beauty of the card is that the details in the card tell you so much about it. Today I want to focus on justice, the justice card. Not just us, as people often say and feel at some point in time. Now this this one, she's missing a key component of Lady Justice. But depending on who you research, they'll tell you that Lady Justice what did not wear a blindfold because the clothes that adorned her body exemplified Um, the same thing as being blindfolded, not being able to see. But I don't see that. But here on here, she's not wearing the blindfold. This, let me see. I'm always like trying to figure out how to manage stuff. Here, she's not wearing a blindfold. Let's let the camera focus. Focus on your focus, dude. When it comes in clear, you will see her defined features. Okay. You'll see her defined features, right? I want you to notice two things in her hands because some people say we got the whole world. So she's wearing the burden of justice in her hand. In one hand, she holds the scales, and the scales are supposed to keep things balanced. That's what they stand for. And in the other hand, she holds the sword, because the sword is supposed to, hey ATF, boom, when you enter the building. Are you okay? I have to stop. Sorry. Hold up before he rolls up. Are you okay? Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope all is well. I'm sorry, you guys. I just needed to do that acknowledgement. Some people are dear and near to me. Um, she holds the sword because justice is supposed to be swift, not prolonged, just like life is supposed, just how it's supposed to do in life. Justice is not supposed to linger on forever. We're not supposed to wait for her to give a verdict years out. It is supposed to be swift, because when someone smites you with a sword, it's normally swift. So why am I making this analogy this morning? It's not really an analogy. It is the awakening to what justice should be. Justice should be blind so she doesn't see impure. There's no, it's impure. Um, y'all make what y'all make out of all the things they say about things. I'm gonna give you now my interpretation and I, why I adorn the name justice, why I live by it, in principle. Another thing about Little Miss Justice, she's a human, right? In a human form, which means that she bleeds and she also has a heart. And the heart is a thing that we tend not to focus on when we're looking for justice. But in seeking justice, you deal with several different elements. And the heart gives you the opportunity to forgive. So in this Amber, you know how this is gonna be today. They don't. I'm not gonna say it. Don't want. I'm gonna tell the truth. The computer hadn't been turned off overnight, so it's probably in its warm phase, and it's gonna be temperamental, and I have to be patient with it. So I ask you to be patient. Um. So we're not gonna have a clear stream today. Good morning, Joanna. Um, Lady Justice also has a heart, and in her heart, she forgives. That's why she can wear the weight on her hands and carry the scales of balance, and she can carry that sword to swipe. No one's expecting a woman to do all of those things. Even though, Greek goddess, where she was The Greek goddess were women, and they were highly respected, unlike the woman of color today. But that's another story. Um, that's another story in and of itself. So the four components: the inability to see because of the blindfold, justice in her hands, carrying the balance. Good morning, Gab. Carrying the balance in her hands, and the sword in the other to swipe out swiftly to give. Because when you give justice, you do it swiftly. So um to act swiftly. That's what she does. In this case of Amber Guyger, you have so many components. There are components you want to identify with because one, it was a man of color involved here, and two, there was a police officer. Two opposing um two opposing frequencies, energies in a space where we're so confused. So, as Black folks, we are upset that we haven't received justice in so long. And we look for any instance of where it represents, where the symbolism is Black. And we want to immediately identify with it. I found it interesting that Isis, the real Isis one, was on the steps and she was reminding someone that all kin folks is not. She had a saying, I've heard it before, and I heard her saying it because she was saying it and then she said it. She speaks with passion and she said it all kin folks is not, no, all skin, something had to do with all skin not being kin. All right, or all kin folks is not skin folks, something like that. I'll go back and listen to it because she said it on the steps, but you get my idea. um Skin is not kin folks. All right, skin is not kin folks. See why you at acid. um all kin folk is not skin folk. Yes, that's what she was saying. And that is the case here. And I'm going to try to bring it to you as clearly and concisely as I can. Um, but I want you to be focused on the scales. So, where we're talking about injustice for Blacks in America against the police officer, the police division, where we got that divide. In that scale, you have on one side Blacks being attacked, and on the other side, good morning, Miss Washington, you have, and Joanna, you have white officers, right? So depending on what part of the scale you was on in this case, you were seeking justice by your standards. And I keep trying to explain to folks that in all of these cases where there are real victims, the only people that can tell you what justice looks like is the actual person hurt, the actual victim in the situation. Just because they look like you or the situation is similar to yours, or similarly, you can't fight for justice in those instances unless you're the victim. You can enjoin the victim in their struggle. You can be a pawn for them if you so choose to be. You can give up your freedoms and your salvations if you believe in something strong enough. But you've got to understand the expectation is what justice looks like for them. So I missed the brother hugging the police officer. I was like, where was I? But I was at work, so I wasn't visually watching this stuff. I was looking at a chat and listening in my ear, right? Occasionally freaking a chat to see what was going on and listening in my ear because I was multitasking. So I missed something and that just blew me away. I was like, when did the brother get down to hug the woman that killed his brother? Powerful moment. So if we're looking at justice again and she has a heart, she's going to have passion. She's showing sympathy, empathy, all at the same time. Forgiveness. That was his justice. He said, all I want you to do is find Jesus Christ. That was enough for him. Who am I to gauge that and say that is not right? You can come to any determination you want to. I'm talking about me when I'm on the scope of justice. That's my processing. I'm just sharing my processing with you to give you a different view, give you a different perspective on some of these things, and why in the second agreement it says don't take it personal. This is part of not taking things personal. Um the parent, the mother, I came to y'all a few 2 nights ago and I said I found her testimony odd to me. That she exemplified strength as a woman of color, but it was interesting when I heard her story and I was listening to folks in the rooms saying they cried for the mother and this and that, and I said I couldn't relate. I was on the phone talking to somebody. They said, Monica, do not go on your show and tell them you cannot relate to that Black woman because the minute you say that, I said, well, I can't. And I couldn't. And the reason why I can't and I couldn't is because I ain't never walk a day in that woman's shoes. I am not an immigrant. I'm a New Yorker. I'm not an immigrant. I live here in the I live here in the US. I was born here in the States. I don't know what other kind of lifestyle they live in, what oppression and stuff they go through. I've never walked a day in her shoes. I could not even relate to her on the simplest level. And because of the environment we're in, I wasn't even free to say that. You understand? I know how I am as a woman of color, a mother of a son, that from the moment he came out of me, the moment he was born, that birth moment, and they put my son in my hand and they said, you have a son. I held him with a look upon my face of holy shit. Life just got harder for me. Everything drained from me as a mother once I held my son because fear settled in. At that point, I only had a daughter and I understood what it meant to be a woman. I understood what it meant to about to raise my daughter in this world. My gosh, she was the prettiest thing I've ever seen. She will always be in my eyes more beautiful than I am ever to be. She is beautiful. She like I don't look at my beauty. I look at my beauty through my daughter. She's beautiful in everything that she ever did. Her smiles, everything. So here I was now, the mother of a son, where the Black man is just annihilated everywhere he goes. He has to do more. He is. I knew the weight of the world was on my shoulder. And I also knew that I was in a situation that was not good. But I understood my responsibility as soon as I had a man, a man child to raise, which means in my definition, I raised a child to be a man. I was the mother of a man child every day of his life. That's the only thing I knew from the moment they put him in my hands and they said it was a boy, down to when my doctor circumcised him and I stood over him watching outside the window in the little section as he did his business on my son. I was present for everything up until the impossible happened in his life. But I watched over it. That mother stood on the stand and I could not cry for her. I did not feel what you felt, what so many people told me. I just couldn't relate. And the reason why we couldn't relate is because there's that immigrant status. There's a different level of being Black to me, which I will cover in another conversation, which is evolving around me and talking to more educated Black folk that deal with justice, have been through all kinds of components of helping folks and seeing all kinds of different things. They refer to being Black in America, or just being Black in general, as an experience. And I'm going to start to relate to being Black as an experience, because it's a deep conversation, but bringing it back to the differences here and balance and the scales, and just bringing your attention back to the scales. And on one side of the scale, you have a Black man and all the troubles that we're in, and all the adversity that's against us, sitting on one scale and having one trial. And then seeing on the other side of the scale the balance of being a white woman in America, a police officer who has killed on the other side of the scale a Black man. I'm here to tell you it wasn't that complex. Boogie said it best yesterday. He said you cannot be seeking justice for every injustice that has happened before that case and predict that this will change the way things happen after that case. No, you have to look at justice in that specific instance. They didn't want the weight. They being the family that's involved in here, they didn't want the weight of carrying our Black issues on the back of their son. And that's a hard lesson to learn, but it's just the reality of what it is. I'm going back to Evalme. All kinfolk is not skin folk. But I think it's the other way around. I think she said all skin folk is not kinfolk. And that's important to understand. And here's the difference. And I'm gonna drill this home anytime anybody chooses to talk to me on this subject, because I feel like it's a closed subject. But if somebody should bring it up, I'm gonna remind people, I know what my Black man is worth. And even if my child of color is sitting behind bars, he is still worth so much more to me. He's invaluable. And if you take his motherfucking life, you gonna know about it. Because everything I tell you about him, you gonna think he was priceless. And that is the problem I had with that mother sitting on the stand. That is the problem I had with that mother sitting on the stand. She didn't value her son enough for me. And when you listen to the father speak, what series of events are you embarrassed by? You. Yesterday, when I joined in watching this, I joined at the part where the father, good morning, Mr. Joseph, um, or good morning, Amiri, and someone else entered. Raining woman, good morning. I entered at the part where I saw the father. The father was taking a stand. I'm like, nice to see the father, right? I was like, yes, right? And then he started weeping, and it drained me. And not because it was a sign of weakness that he cried. It drained me everything that he spoke about. Um, I expected to hear that from the mother. That's all. The words he spoke as the father, I expected to hear that from the mother. So y'all do your own shifts in culture and see when we're talking about what does they say? Monarchies. Y'all got all kinds of language for this stuff, right? But when you really see it in application, you don't understand it. When the woman is the head of the family, there was evidence of that display. When the sister came up and she spoke about raising her three sons, and I honestly believe the sister gets it. But for some cultural reasons, she was very respectful. And you know that's a cultural thing, so I can't begin to get into it. But at the end of the day, um, don't be disappointed. I was disappointed yesterday. I was disappointed until the moment of reflection came in. Dude, you don't have to come in here under aliases. But I got you. I got you. Yeah. So that was the matriarch structure I believe we saw in its in practice. And that's what we saw. And that is why she was stoic in her appearance. Um and I hope I'm not taking away from good morning, Laurel Lance. I'm hoping I'm not taking away from her, taking away from their quest. But their quest is not ours, and their pain was not the same because the average black man, I went back, I was looking back inside the case, right? And there was a witness, right, who came in a T. Yes, I'm leaving now. Okay, before you leave, what's it? Dragon Ball Z. All right. Good luck, honey, on your interview. All right. Well, wait, 1 second. Let me see what you got on. Cause I know you told me it's casual. I just want to understand what the new casual looks like. That's all. Let me just see. Leggings and a black t-shirt. You going to an interview in leggings and a black t-shirt? Go get. Go, it's okay. Go get that job, boo. Go get that job. Good luck. You got your resume? Yes, I do actually. Okay. Break a leg. It's raining. Oh, it's raining for your job interview. I get it. I left you one on your doorknob. Oh, okay. I don't want her to get that job anyway, so I ain't even. But do you see how the generation is? She don't even want to show me what she got one. She told me yesterday they told her business casual. I was like, what the fuck is business casual? Who gonna check me? All right, so let's just, this is the life of being a parent of the millennials. You just gotta just and I don't even think she's a millennial. I think she's that other generation. Just this is all I gotta say. Like, but I don't know. This job is at Amazon. So I'm just telling the business. I'll be so mad if she gets sick because I'll be sitting up here talking about you can go to an interview with Victoria's Secret leggings on and a damn t-shirt. Oh, brother. My daughter is 26 years old. Yes, she is 26 years old. I have a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old. Yes, I do. I damn sure do. Hey, Arthur. So the bottom line is don't be disappointed in this in this sentencing. Look at the wins that we got as people of color, right? We now know that we are once again, the Constitution. So let me just bring y'all to the Constitution. The Constitution says you have a right to sit in your living room, eat your ice cream without unlawful search and seizure. That's in the Constitution. Now, I don't want to get into the premises that we were written in the Constitution as a percentage of a man or a fourth, a third, a half an inch, or whatever. I understand that, but I don't want to understand that. I just want to tell you that the Constitution says you have a right for unlawful search and seizure. What I did here very well put, um, you, me, and everybody else was not a juror. We were not sequestered, similar to the O.J. Simpson trial, where we were giving up something. We were giving up our freedom to uphold the Constitution. We were giving up our freedom so that Lady Justice could prevail, right? Those jurors sacrificed their family for the duration of this trial while we could sit at home and say, oh, we think it should have went this way. Oh, we think it should have went that way. They were prisoners with less rights than a prisoner would have incarcerated. They lost their usage of their cell phones. They were unable to watch television. So they gave up more than we did. I didn't see any appreciation for their services yesterday. And I thought that that was unfair. The bottom line is if you've ever lived, and so this is my analysis, if you've ever lived in a building complex, like I live in one now, and everything's the same floor to floor. So the only thing that changes is how you get out of breath as you go higher. But I know you was going to say that about the Constitution. It it doesn't matter at this point in time. What matters is that they gave up their freedom to make that decision. I don't know when that happened. So I'm going to say this again to everybody. Where did it happen in the trial that he gave her a hug? When did he testify and give her a hug? Was it after she was sentenced? When did this happen? That's what I need to know because I didn't see it. I seen it on the news, but I didn't see it occur in any of the feeds that I was watching. So when did it happen? So don't talk to me about the hug until somebody tell me when it happened, but I will tell you the honest truth here. When you've got apartment complexes, at the end of what? And I don't mean to sound frustrated. At the end of what? First, there was the trial. After the sentencing, so it had no weight in what the jury saw. So it sounds like he was, that's what I was thinking. It sounds like he was the penalty phase because as soon as the verdict came out, I left work. So I didn't stay behind listening. I got on the train to come home. So I didn't see any of this. If I was in my car yesterday, I would have heard the rest of it. So it had no weight at all in so do you think the forgiveness of the brother was a game changer? No. It didn't weigh in on their decision. Their decision came from their inability to be mobile, their inability to hear the rest of us and only have time to process what that feels like to be incarcerated. Think about it. But at the end of the day, when you live in a building complex and everything is the same, during the trial, because I listened back last night into some of the witnesses, it was pointed out several times, and they gave statistics 20 something percent of the time in that building, people ended up at the wrong apartments. They definitely got me freaking out right now. They use a key fob, which is not a regular key like you and I may have in our apartments that go inside of a lock and open it. This is a key fob, some kind of electric transmitted thing that is a fob that you go up to your door and you put some place it is still a key. Some places it's just a light. And you put it in and then it opens up. It makes a match and opens your door all electronically. I agree, Mr. Williams. I agree. But it's a key fob, right? There's so many things here in this case. Let's get into it. The key fob is the key is the problem here, right? They report the Texas Rangers, thank God for the Rangers. The Rangers put out a report and the Rangers gave them a statistics how many people wound up at the wrong floor, use this key fob in these situations, and end up in the wrong apartment. The Dragon Ball Z guy and other people testify that they have all ended up on the wrong floor inside this apartment building. What's interesting is the turnover inside the apartment building. They had some I've been to India guy sound the prosecutor was a mess with him. He was like, you'll need to speak slow. You would thought he got on the phone with customer service somewhere overseas. You know how that is, right? I don't want to be, doing stereotypes. But he testified he had been, and listen to what people did. This man moved in April and he moved out in October. So let there be one gun shooting inside there. He moved out. The other guy testified he passed the police officer lady down in the parking garage. He saw her getting out the car with her bags and stuff. He was saying to himself, listen, I saw her. I went into my apartment. I didn't even know we had a police officer on my floor. He's in his house. He gets in his apartment. He's in his refrigerator and he hears gunshots. And he said the first thing that he thought of was, goddamn, I'm paying all this money. I shouldn't hear gunshots. Like, this is supposed to be a nice building with the key fob shit, right? But he said he's ended up on the wrong floor a few times. So all of these people, including Amber Guyger, all arrived to this apartment complex, uh, new to it, and ended up on the wrong floors, putting their keys in other people's fucking doors and doors opening, and that's it. And when you open the door on the inside, everybody's apartment is the same. It's your decorations that are different. And she says the lights were off. All she heard was rustling. Now, I kept saying, why were they making a big deal? Because she was a police officer. And this is what I agree. Her profession got her sentenced. And a lot of people are not going to want to understand that. If she had been, and this is sad, if she had been a regular citizen like you and me, and she probably said, I had a permit to carry, and when I entered my apartment, the apartment that I thought was mine, and she entered her apartment and she heard somebody inside of it and she shot him, she probably would walk away today with nothing. But for her being a police officer, they said you have a specific training, a special training that should have prevented you from taking life.